What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movie. Currently at my house right now. I just got done watching the remake of Roadhouse, and I'm here to give my quick thoughts on it, if you will. So, I'm a big fan of the original Roadhouse. I didn't see it till like much later on in life. I actually did an After the Movie on it like 7 years ago. I kind of went back and looked at my first time watching it all the way through, and I loved it. It was incredibly like silly and ridiculous, but man, that movie has so much rewatchability to it. It is very, very entertaining. So when they were announcing some sort of a remake, I was kind of like on the fence on it. I'm like, I mean, they actually did a Roadhouse 2. I've never actually watched that one. It's technically the third Roadhouse movie. But we have Jake Gyllenhaal as this version of Dalton, and then you throw in Conor McGregor in there, and a few other actors and actresses. And it's going straight to Prime, which I think was probably the right move. This is not a movie I would have really like come away out of the theater like, yeah, that was much kind of see. But I guess I'll give my overall thoughts. And so original Roadhouse, great. Patrick Swayze, one of my favorite bits. One of my favorite quotes in that movie is actually Dalton's 3 simple rules. That's like a great like kind of life lesson thing that I still kind of live by ever since seeing that movie. I'm like, never underestimate your opponent, expect the unexpected. Take it outside, never start anything inside the bar unless it's absolutely necessary, and 3, be nice until it's time to not be nice. Now, you can kind of mix that around, but that's kind of a good analogy for life. Never underestimate who you're dealing with, take it outside, never try to start anything inside an area that you probably shouldn't want things to get destroyed, and, try to be nice until it's time to not be nice. Which, like I said, that original film, just a pure 1980s time capsule, very entertaining. Patrick Swayze is just awesome. He has this great on-screen presence to him. And Gyllenhaal, while still a really good actor, like his take on Dalton, I mean, you just can't hold a candle to Swayze. And like I said, there's been some like remakes or reimaginings I think have done as good, if not better, done their own take that I think have worked quite well. But this is one that's kind of like more so a mixed bag for me. Like there's some elements I definitely enjoy, but then there's other bits where it just wasn't landing for me. I wasn't as entertained throughout its entire runtime as I was with the original film. So the story this time around is Jake Gyllenhaal plays a character named Dalton, and basically Dalton is this former UFC fighter who's kind of down on his luck. Somebody sees him like fighting, like, hey, why don't you come be a bouncer for me? So then he goes to the Roadhouse, and instead of being in the Midwest setting, which like a small town kind of feel, we're in the Keys. So, you get a lot of tourists kind of in this area, which already kind of dilutes the feel of kind of what made Roadhouse a little bit more unique. Because like I said, it was a small town in the original film, but it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It's not necessarily like a touristy area. You can get the sense that like, okay, they own the whole town. Here, you're in like the Florida Keys, or I think it was the Florida Keys or whatever. So you get a lot of tourists in that area. So it doesn't feel like, I mean, this isn't a movie that's exactly realistic. I mean, it fully embraces kind of like the more ridiculous aspects to it, which I was thankful for. If you're remaking Roadhouse, you kind of have to have that like fun, kind of cheesy vibe to it. But I mean, the bar setting, like I said, is kind of more open. It just feels like, kind of a shack by like the ocean, if you will. Like the Double Deuce kind of had a different feel to it and a different look to it. And it really felt that like sleazy bar. Here it just kind of feels like a bunch of people just come in. They're kind of like cartoon characters, which I was kind of hoping for, because like I said, you're remaking Roadhouse. And then, like I said, he comes to become like the bouncer at this bar, which, like I said, he never really was before. That's one of the things that made Swayze's Dalton work, because like I said, he had this aura about him. He's like, oh, it's Dalton. It's Dalton. Like I said, you're all the bouncers. He's the cooler, if you will, to kind of like keep things in check and all, if you will. But like I said, the martial arts, he had kind of this calmer persona with him. He had this like coolness to him, his 3 rules, if you will. And then you finally see him break, and he rips a man's throat out, and it's awesome. Here, the fight scenes can be a bit entertaining, but then they do like these really weird CGI cuts, if you will, and it's really noticeable and feels kind of off-putting. Because like I said, just there's something kind of weird with the action sequences in this film, but there is some entertainment value to be had at times, because this Conor McGregor plays a character known as like Knox, if you will. Like, he feels like he's completely in a different movie than everybody else, or maybe they just kind of filmed him just doing his normal shtick, if you will. And like there's times where his lines are clearly ADR, and it's like you can't understand anything he's saying. It's almost like Tommy Wiseau just showing up in a random movie. Like that's kind of the feel like Conor McGregor had when he was in this movie. I guess this is his first film, but like it feels so out of place at times. Like he's just like, I'm just gonna show up and just beat people up and do some random wacky Conor McGregor stuff, and it just feels like they just kind of filmed him like, oh, here Conor, you're causing trouble over here. Oh, here you're just beating people up for fun and all that other stuff. And that's basically what he does. He doesn't show up till like later on in the movie too. Like his intro is a pretty memorable one. Like he just kind of like jumps out of a window or something, and he doesn't have any clothes or whatever, and then he just sets things, it just cuts to him like everything's just on fire and destroyed with him. Like he's just this wacky cartoon character in this film, and some people are going to like that or they're either going to hate it. So there is a bit of a cheesy vibe here. You do get the bits of like Dalton kind of bonding with the town, if you will. You still have him and his love interest if going on in this thing as well, but it doesn't feel as like it's not like quite the same like for like the original kind of levels. Like I bought that stuff a little bit more. Dalton also kind of had a friend too in the original film, where you kind of like felt like, you know, he had this aura about him, but he had people who had his back. Here you kind of like, I mean, you have like his love interest who sort of has that, but then again you have like the drug cartels and all sorts of other stuff. I don't know, like the villains weren't as entertaining as I kind of wanted to be. McGregor was kind of fun. You don't really have the Wesley type character in this one. I mean, you have like Billy Magnuson or whatever his name is sort of playing that part, and he kind of knows, like there's some over-the-top campiness. Like there's a part where some guy's like getting like his neck shaved on bumpy water, mind you, which is a stupid idea to kind of have somebody try to do that with that. I'm like, okay, where's this going to go? And then it doesn't really sort of go anywhere. Like he kind of cuts himself a few times. So I'm just like, okay. But this movie definitely feels more cartoony at times. There's a part where somebody gets launched out of the water, flies like 100 feet in the air and crashes into a building, but still kind of somehow survives. This is not a very realistic movie, if you will. And that's kind of where some of the fun comes in. Like I said, Dalton getting stabbed or something, he just kind of brushes out, like puts some duct tape on it or whatever. And Gyllenhaal is still pretty entertaining. Like his take on Dalton is very different from Swayze's. I still much prefer Swayze's in that original film. I think the 80s context, the R-rated stuff, and just the over-the-top ridiculousness, just it just felt more natural in that setting. Here, like I said, it feels like they're trying to kind of replicate a little bit, but also kind of having a little bit more of a serious tone at times, and not all of it kind of works, if you will. Like I said, the bar members, like nobody else really kind of stands out. Dalton, like I said, I think it worked better in the original because he was a bouncer beforehand, but here this is kind of like how he just brought into it. And I don't know, like I just like Swayze's take on Dalton and the character more in that than I kind of did in this one. And I know it's not really like you should try and judge movies more on their own, but like I said, this is a remake reimagining. I have to kind of address kind of some things, a little bit of comparisons, but like I said, judging this thing on its own, I feel like it's one that, okay, it's a straight to streaming movie, and it's not really going to have the long-lasting impact that the first Roadhouse film kind of like had back in the day. I'm sure it'll be more remembered than Roadhouse 2, but I mean, like I said, as a whole, I had some bits that were kind of entertaining, and there's certainly some campiness to be had, which I was appreciative of, but it's not like it's going to be a movie I'm going to really kind of want to rush back to kind of go watch again, because I don't know, it just didn't really have like that rewatchability like I was kind of hoping for. I mean, a movie that was really campy that came out this year that I found way more entertaining was something like The Beekeeper. This one tries to have that campy feel, and I'm kind of glad for that, but I don't know, it didn't really work for me quite as well. Maybe it's because I do love the original film so much, and, you know, I gave this thing a chance to check it out, because like I said, I love Roadhouse, but like this one, it felt like something was kind of missing. A few elements that worked, but overall just didn't fully land for me 100%. But like I said, it's not like a bad movie or anything like that. I think it's, you know, all right, you know, mixed to kind of slightly enjoyable at times, but it's kind of like, it's definitely something to just watch on streaming. It's a streaming movie. It's not really like a big movie I'd rush to go out and see in theaters or anything like that. So like I said, if you have some time to kill at home, maybe give it a watch. But other than that, I think it's just kind of a movie that's just going to kind of like pass away, like my conscience, in like a day or two. I'm going to forget most of what happened in here. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. I still got the original film if I want to check it out. Still never saw Roadhouse 2. Probably not going to watch it at any point in time unless it's just presented to me. But yeah, I guess my main takeaway is watch the Swayze film. I think it's a much better, more entertaining film. This one, it has, like I said, some moments, a few parts where I was laughing at times, just how cartoony it could kind of get, and like I said, I enjoyed that aspect, but it didn't fully like land for me as much as I was kind of hoping for. So Yeah, that's all I really have to say. If you've seen the Roadhouse remake, reimagining, or whatever you want to call it, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all other fun stuff. Got some more videos coming out tomorrow. There's another after the movie, but I figured, you know what? I wanted to check out the new Roadhouse. Let me get my thoughts on it, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks so much, everybody. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.